Ancient Egypt, an empire that produced some of the world's greatest treasures. Its wonders have captured imaginations for centuries, as archaeologists have discovered more about this great civilization. But there are still many secrets to be uncovered, including one of Egypt's greatest mysteries, the lost city of Canopus.
Canopus was actually a really famous city situated right on the Mediterranean coast of the Egyptian delta, and one that really captured the imagination of ancient writers. It was known for being an incredibly important religious centre. This was a cosmopolitan, lively, busy, bustling city that would have had people coming in from outside to go to the temples and maybe also to partake in the annual festivals.
Egypt's pharaohs were regular visitors, including the legendary Cleopatra. But despite the city's fame, Canopus has been lost for over 1,000 years.
Let's say, for example, if Venice vanished. That's the kind of level that we're talking about here.
People have been speculating as to where it was and how to find it. But it is surprisingly difficult to find a lost city.
A team led by renowned maritime archaeologist Frank Goddio has been scouring the sea floor in search of this ancient Egyptian Atlantis.
I thought that if Canopus has not been found on land, it was for the very good reason that it was not on land, and most probably under the sea.
And what they've discovered is bigger and more spectacular than they could ever have dreamt.
Something tiny would have thrilled us, but instead we found something much more amazing.
In the late 1990s, Frank Goddio was searching for Canopus in Egypt's Nile Delta. Goddio and his team had pinpointed a site in Abu Qir Bay, 16 miles northeast of Alexandria, putting his faith in a handful of cryptic references in ancient documents.
All the historical texts tell us that this city exists. But how much can we trust some of the recorders, the travel writers of 2,000 years ago?
Using cutting-edge geophysical scanning technology, it took a team of 50 leading experts and archaeologists 2 years to scour the bay's 200 square miles. But identifying a possible site was just the start. Then they were faced with the challenge of an archaeological investigation under 6 meters of seawater.
Archaeology is difficult. Archaeology underwater is 10 times harder. The visibility for the divers is very poor, and you can't see anything except the immediate area that you're working in.
But finally, in 1999, Goddio's team unearthed an unmistakable clue, an iconic symbol of ancient Egypt.
So we dig down through the sand, and we start finding, oh my gosh, it's a portion of a sphinx. There's a haunch, there's a paw, there's a tail. We know that we're on the trail. We know that there's something nearby, but we don't know, what it is. We don't have a feeling that this is the spot, not yet.
Close to the Sphinx, Goddio and his team made a monumental discovery.
We found the remain of a beautiful, large foundation wall.
It became clear this was once a building of truly colossal proportions.
It was 3 meters thick, and it started to extend and extend as we were excavating it. 30 meter, 50 meter, 80 meter, 100 meter, 103 meter long. Beautifully built.
It's the size of a football field with these immense foundation walls, and you realize that if the walls that had set on top of this foundation were still intact, they would come out of the surface of the sea at sea level today.
These sunken ruins are the remains of one of Egypt's most mysterious and long-lost cities, Canopus, beloved by Cleopatra and her dynasty. A 25-year excavation has revealed many details of this incredible city. But Cleopatra's love affair with the city was about to be cut cruelly short. In 30 BC, the Romans invaded Egypt. Faced with imprisonment, humiliation, and perhaps death, Cleopatra took her own life and left the city's fate hanging in the balance.
The Romans, when they took over Egypt, you would think, oh, they're taken over, they hate Cleopatra, they're going to sort of destroy everything.
But the remains of Canopus's statues raised from the seabed tell a different story. The discovery of a remarkable stone bust suggests the city didn't just survive after Cleopatra's suicide. It seems to have thrived.
The way the hair is carved, the treatment of the beard, the treatment of the anatomy. All of these details suggest the date in the Roman imperial period after the death of Cleopatra the Great.
Egypt's last pharaoh was dead, but Canopus was very much alive. Under the Romans, the city flourished, attracting the great and the good from across the empire. Even the Roman Emperor Hadrian was mesmerized by the city's charms.
We know that Hadrian was particularly enchanted by Canopus because in his villa, the Villa Hadriana, in a place called Tivoli outside Rome, he does seem to have made some sort of replica.
Hadrian's tribute to the sacred city was also known as Canopus and featured a scaled-down version of its ceremonial canal, lined with crocodiles and statues of Egyptian gods.
He was very much inspired by Canopus to the extent that he wanted to bring it home to Rome.
By the 1st century AD, the Egyptian city of Canopus was one of the most fashionable places on earth. Pilgrims flocked to it in search of holiness, healing, and hedonism.
The Roman historian Strabo, writing shortly after the death of Cleopatra, describes how citizens of Alexandria would board pleasure yachts, and they would sail to Canopus, and on board, they would eat, drink, and be merry. And when they got to Canopus, it was Party City.
Not surprisingly, many visitors had more than religion on their minds.
Canopus has a very, very salacious reputation among the Romans. The Roman poet Martial describes Canopus in the following terms. Canopus is the place where you find the most beautiful women in the world, and they're willing to oblige. He goes on to say that anything you ever desired or wanted could be found in the city of Canopus. So Canopus is this place of sensuous, physical delights.
Canopus seduced the Romans, but Godio's excavations have revealed something extraordinary. They didn't just keep it alive. They supersized the city of pleasure, extending it with villas, baths, and temples.
The city became even more important during Roman time than during the Ptolemaic time.
From the age of the ancient pharaohs in the 6th century BC, through the Ptolemies and Cleopatra, to the Romans. Despite seismic political and cultural changes, Canopus had flourished for at least 1,000 years. But nothing lasts forever.